Hello and welcome back to another video, guys. Now this is always a pretty exciting video for me. This is me looking back at all of the films that I watched in the month that has just passed, which is October 2020. That's right, we're nearly out of 2020. I don't have much hopes of 2021 being better, if I'm being honest, but hey, the dreaded 2020 is still nearly behind us, which is a positive. You know, it's been an interesting month, that's for sure. The month has shone some light at the end. Which of course I'm sure all of you know what I'm talking about there. So it hasn't been absolutely terrible October, I guess. I mean, here in the UK we went back into lockdown, so maybe it has been, I don't know. Anyway, enough of that. I still managed to watch a few films throughout October. Now, not as many as my previous months, granted, because there's been a few TV shows I've been watching and stuff. But I want to talk about them all here. Some of them I have reviewed here on the channel, like is it just, no, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the films here I've actually done full reviews for, so I'll be brief on those ones. But we can talk about the others in a bit more detail. But I'm not going to spend loads of time on each film, because there's still 6, 9, 11 films here to talk about. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, the first film I watched throughout October, I finally decided to dig into my lovely box, which I have here on my shelf. And the first film we're going to talk about is The Godfather. So yeah, that's right. So I basically had this set here with all 3 movies and sitting on my shelf for a good 2 years. And I had yet to dig into it. And I know a lot of people probably screamed at me for that. Like, these are some of the most highly acclaimed films and some of the most loved movies. How's it taking you this long? I don't know why it's taken me this long. It just has. But I thought, you know, finally I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into this box set. Let me put this back. So I did, and I watched the first Godfather movie, and I thought this film was pretty damn amazing. It was great. The acting and the dialogue is so good, so good. Like some of the best you'll ever get. The script is just incredible for this movie. The cinematography was gorgeous. I loved the look of this film. I loved the feel of it. It was really great. Would I say it's one of my personal favourite movies ever? No, it's up there. It really is. I'd give it like a 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. I think it is a really solid movie. I do rate films on this series, don't I? So I'll give it a mark in a minute. I need to think about that. What am I going to give it? An 8.5 or a 9? But it's a really great movie. I wouldn't quite say it's 10 out of 10 absolutely incredible flawless movie, because there are times where it dragged for me personally. I know it's meant to, but that for me does weaken the film overall a bit. It's a really great movie, there's no doubt, but I wouldn't say it's one of my very favourite movies ever. I'll give The Godfather, I'll give it an 8.5. I'm going to go an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a really great movie. It really is. But I wouldn't quite say it's perfect like some people. Next up, we've got David Attenborough's A Life on Our Planet. Now, I know this is more of a documentary, but it is, you know, it's a Netflix film. And I think this film is so important that I did want to come on here and talk about it, because I sort of, you know, it's not very long, 1.5 hours, I think it was. You know, it's the start of the month, so apologies if I got that wrong. I think it was only 1.5 hours. Maybe it was closer to the 2-hour mark. I can't remember. But I remember watching it when I had some downtime, and I thought, oh, you know, I'll just whack this on. You know, I was seeing people talking about it, so I'll just watch it. And I was actually blown away by it. It was one of the best things I've watched all year. If I was including this in my movie ranking, which I'm not, because it's not really, it's a movie. It's not really a proper movie, is it? It's a documentary film. So I'm not going to include this in my end of the year ranking, but this would easily be in the top 5. This documentary was so important, and it had me actually terrified for what the next generations are going to have to live through. I mean, our generation, my generation, is going to see a lot of the consequences to the actions that generations above me have put on this planet. And you know, we've strained this planet. It's incredible, really, how much damage we've done in so little time, comparing how long the humans have been on the planet to how long the dinosaurs were on the planet, and how quickly we have destroyed everything. It's actually an achievement. Well done, human race. And it shows how important it is for change. Now, you know, I've it's, you know, it's hard for me to say that because, you know, I know there are things that I do that are wrong, of course, you know, and stuff. But it's I think this film should be shown to all the world leaders and stuff because they're the people who have the power to put in a lot of changes and stuff, to force these changes upon people. So I really do feel like a lot of the world leaders should be made to watch this, made to you know, make changes in the world to try and save our planet as long as we can, because at the minute it doesn't have too long left. This documentary was fantastic though because it's shot so beautifully as well. It's gorgeous to look at. There's something about whatever David Attenborough is behind it. I know he's just the narrator, but it seems like when David Attenborough is involved, everyone ups their game. And the end of the documentary is nice because it shines hope. It's not a complete downer. Because I remember about 2/3 of the way through this, I was like, wow, this film has broken me. I feel horrible. And in the end shows some hope, and it's absolutely fantastic. This documentary is incredible. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I really do believe that this documentary is one of the best ones I've ever watched. David Attenborough, you know, what a guy. What an absolute guy. Next up, we've got The Godfather Part 2. Here we go. So, yes, carrying on with The Godfather. Godfather Part 3, spoiler alert, I haven't watched it yet. I haven't heard great things. I very much do plan on watching it. It will be one of the first ones I watch in November. But I haven't got around to that, so we'll finish the trilogy off soon. Godfather Part 2. I was really excited to see this one because De Niro's in it, and I love De Niro. Took me ages to figure out who he was because he looks so bloody young in this. This film actually continues on really nicely, I thought. Al Pacino does such, you know, so good in this movie. And yeah, I genuinely have exactly the same feelings to this one as I did with the first movie. The script, the acting, the dialogue, it's all absolutely fantastic. The cinematography is gorgeous in this film. I actually found the pacing a little bit better in this one. A little bit better. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion. I know both these films are loved. I don't know which one's more loved, though, out of the two. I'm guessing maybe the first one. I don't know. But I think maybe I actually had a only slightly better time with this one because they're both really, really good. Again, just there's a couple scenes that drag in this one. There's a couple things where it's like, I remember there was a scene where a few of our main characters were at a table, and in shots where no one was talking, the camera would just slowly pan across like this. Nothing is happening. There's no characters on screen at the minute. Oh, here's our other character. And he's still just eating and drinking. And then all of a sudden he'll come out with another bit of dialogue. It's like, I know you're trying to capture how realistic this is, but this puts strain on the movie, I feel a bit. But I don't want to sit here and complain about them because I don't want people to think I dislike them. And I know some people are not going to be happy that I'm complaining at all because I know some people think they're absolute masterpieces, which is fine and I completely get it. I completely understand why. But I'm just trying to explain why I'm not giving these movies 10 out of 10. I'm going to stick with an 8.5 on this one as well. It's really good. Then we got Ava. This is a film which intrigued me. I really like the cast. Colin Farrell he's such a good actor. I really love Colin Farrell. And hey, looks like we might be getting him back in Fantastic Beasts, maybe, now that Johnny Depp's out. And, you know, Jessica Chastain, she can be really, really good sometimes. And she can be really bad sometimes. X-Men, Dark Phoenix, my God, what was she doing? She was okay in this, I guess. I think you could tell half the time she knew she was in a throwaway movie, because unfortunately that's what this is. I thought this movie was going to be really good. I like the idea of it. The choreography and the trailers, at least, look really good. I thought it was just going to be a fun action movie. And that's what I hoped for. What I got was a really dry, boring movie. There's barely any character development in this. There's a lot of side characters which you just don't care about. The choreography was okay, I guess, when there were the action sequences, and there was barely any. This is meant to be an action film, there's barely any action in it. So most of the time, Ava's just moping about. I wanted to see this spy side of Ava more, and we just barely got it. Yeah, there was a nice little twist, I suppose, about 2/3 of the way through, which I quite liked. Brutal death in it. Colin Firth kills someone, it's brutal. Ava was just meh. It's just the most meh film I think I've seen in a while. I'll give it a 5 out of 10, I guess. It's not bad, it's not good. I just don't care about this movie. Hubie Halloween. I'm going to go quick on this one because I've reviewed this one in full detail. Adam Sandler comes to Netflix with another really, really stupid Madison production movie. Now, I got a bit of flack in my review because some people enjoyed this. They said it reminded them of Happy Gilmore, which I suppose I kind of get. It's on the level of stupidity of Happy Gilmore and stuff. But I just enjoyed Happy Gilmore a lot more. I felt more connected to all the characters in it. This film just felt like a mess. There were characters walking about, just they pop up and it'd be like, oh, we need you to do something, so you're just going to do it. Adam Sandler was... There were a couple bits that made me laugh, like the bit where he was talking to the cop through the car windshield, and it was just he'd just see that portion of his face. He was just mumbling like. I suppose that was kind of funny, but I don't know. I didn't find Adam Sandler that funny in this one. I found him funnier in Uncut Gems, to be honest. The film just was kind of boring for me. I just didn't care about what was happening. I didn't find any of the jokes that funny. It was just not a very well-made film. I know that you don't expect that from one of these Madison production movies, but, you know, the script as always was terrible. The actors were just hanging out, which is fine. I get why they make these films. But anyway, Hubie Halloween was not a very good movie for me. I'm going to give it... I'll give it a 3 out of 10. I can't actually remember what I gave it my review, but it must have been around there. Didn't like that movie. Next up, Goodfellas. Goodfellas. Now, those of you who follow me on Instagram, my Movie Bug Instagram account, link in the description to that, by the way, if you haven't. I managed to pick up this at the start of the month. I haven't shown it off on the channel yet, but I managed to pick up the lovely Goodfellas 4K set, which came out right at the end of September, I believe. It's a beautiful 4K set, and I did not own Goodfellas, so I was like, I'm going to pick this up, because I haven't seen it, don't own it. It seems like a really good purchase for me, so I thought, you know, I'm gonna get it. And guys, this is on the same level as Godfather, I believe, as some people, where people just rave about it. This is Martin Scorsese's masterpiece. That and maybe Taxi Driver, which I'm also going to make a priority to watch soon, because I do own Taxi Driver as well. Just have yet to watch it. You know, when people talk about Martin Scorsese, while I've seen so many of his movies, I hadn't seen Goodfellas or Taxi Driver, which are maybe his two most beloved movies. So I wanted to make it a priority to watch Goodfellas, and I did it. And I can say that I actually think I enjoyed this a bit more than the Godfather movies. I really found connection in the characters more. I was actually more shocked by a lot of the deaths. And in terms of, like, you know, the screenplay and the script and whatnot, the acting, it was on the same level as the Godfather movies. I kind of look at it, they're really similar movies in terms of, like, how they're made. Again, this movie, it's really, really good. I feel like the acting in this was 10 out of 10. Robert De Niro, this is the best performance I've seen him given. He's given a lot of great performances. You know, not recently. I mean, what? Angry Grandpa, Joker. I mean, God, the man needs a good script. But I'm sorry, I know I've pissed some people off there with Joker. I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, Goodfellas, this was great. This was really good. Again, it does suffer from a few scenes where they're a little bit stretched out, a little bit more stretched out than they need to be. But overall, this film is fantastic. I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. I thought this movie was absolutely great. Rebecca. This is a film which I've also reviewed in great detail here on the channel. And this is a film where I've actually learnt to hate it more than when I filmed the review. I filmed the review the day I saw it. I think I watched it in the morning and reviewed it in the afternoon. So I didn't give it enough time to sink in. I've now had a lot of time to let this movie sink in since it was, what, a good 2 weeks ago now. This movie come out. This film stars Lily James and a bunch of other people I've already forgotten. Now, something I missed out in my review is that this is based off another movie that come out. I can't remember when it come out. My brain wants to say 60s, but I'm not 100% sure. So this is a remake. This film, goddamn, sucks. I think I was a bit kind to it in my review, looking back at it. I'm sure that a lot of other people here who do movie reviews on YouTube can sort of relate to that a bit, that sometimes you do look back at your reviews and go, oh, that's too kind, or oh, that's too harsh. This is one where I was too kind, because the film is a mess. It has no idea where it wants to go in terms of plot, even though it's a remake. The script is baffling at times. The acting is alright. The acting is alright. But this film is just dull and boring. And it's just a mess. It's just a total mess. I'm going to give Rebecca... I'm going to give it a 3. And I'm pretty sure I gave it a 5 or a 6. Or 5.5 in my review. So you can see that my opinion of that is dropping. Next up is Love and Monsters. This movie was super fun. Again, I reviewed this one in great detail as well, so I'm going to be quick and brief on this one. This was a really interesting movie. The budget for this movie wasn't as big as I thought it'd be, so I was a bit curious as to how well the monsters and stuff were going to look, and it was surprisingly really good. I expected a Pacific Rim vibe here, but it wasn't. It was quite quirky. The humour in it was really good. I hadn't quite seen a film like this before. It was like trying to be your stereotypical modern blockbuster, like a Pacific Rim or a Transformers, but it had a quirky sense of humour in it with these quirky actors in it who do fantastic jobs. The lead guy in it, what's his name? Dylan O'Brien is so unbelievably fantastic. I feel so bad for him that he hasn't picked up like a major role yet in like Marvel or Star Wars or something like that, because he truly deserves it. He's so good. Michael Rooker and the little girl in it were fantastic, and also the girl from Iron Fist was amazing in this as well. Really good, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes the acting is very rocky from some of the side characters, but it's almost like it's meant to be. It's a really quirky, weird film, and I really admire that. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Borat 2, yeah, again, reviewed this in detail, so I'm going to be brief. This is the... Oh, no, there is one more that I've reviewed on here after this. You know, Borat 2, I can see why it wouldn't work for some people. For me, it works really well. The humour was fantastic. I do believe that, you know, about 80% of this film was filmed on the spot, and these people didn't know what was going on. I do believe it, and I think they've done a fantastic job of it. Sacha Baron Cohen, that man has got some balls on him, and I respect him so much for it. You know, this film actually does a good job at developing characters, which I didn't expect a Borat movie to do. And yeah, it's just a really good time, this movie. Really good time. I'm going to give Borat 2 an 8.5 out of 10. Next up, the final movie, well, there's 2 more, but this is the final movie where I haven't reviewed this on the channel, so I can actually say a little bit more about this one. The Trial of Chicago 7, yes. This is a Netflix movie which came out a couple weeks ago, I think, starring Eddie Redmayne, and once again, Sacha Baron Cohen is in this. And this movie was so good. I am a big fan, as many of you know, of a lot of the 60s rock stars who were pushing for a lot of stuff that the people in this movie were pushing for in the late 60s, early 70s. And, you know, I watch a lot of documentaries on my favourite rock stars from that era, and you see a lot of these protests, and they briefly mention about these things that happened. But I never looked into it in more detail because I was always more interested in the rock stars, and their lives moved on. So it was interesting watching this movie because it really shows you what happened during those times, and you can see how twisted everyone was. And I found it really, really fascinating, this movie. Is it a little bit long? Yes. The boardroom scenes go on a little bit too long. You know what? I thought there was going to be a lot more than what there was. So I was actually happy with how many there was. Although, again, could have done with a couple less maybe, looking back at it now. But there were some really intense moments in this. And the acting was fantastic. The script was good. I did quite enjoy this movie, actually. It's a shame it didn't get more people not more people talked about it than what did, but at the end of the day, it was a good movie, and I had a good time with it. I'm going to give this film a 7.5 out of 10. So last up, the last film I watched throughout October is The Witches. Yes, The Witches. So this, of course, is a remake of the 1990 movie, and of course based off the Roald Dahl book. Roald Dahl was incredible. You know, I grew up reading so many of his books. You know, the BFG was always a favourite of mine. Damn you, Spielberg, for ruining it. The Witches, yeah. I actually haven't... Well, I have seen the 90s movie, but it's so long ago I barely remember it. So just look at me as someone who hasn't seen it. The movie was okay. It was okay. That's about all I've got. The effects were very hit and miss. Sometimes they look really good, sometimes they look really bad. The plot itself felt very discombobulated in the first act. It's like it didn't know where it wanted to go, even though I had a movie to look at and a book. But the last two acts I actually found quite fun. They were interesting, and it was all right. I had a decent time in the last two acts, so for that reason, I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. But there we go. There are all the films I've seen throughout the month of October in 2020. November, what date? Oh, it's the 7th today. I should probably know that. We've had 3 movies. I've seen 3 movies already, so I'm hoping to do a bit better this month watching films. The Godfather Part 2 and Taxi Driver should hopefully get watched this month for those of you who were probably hoping I had watched them by now. But anyway, that is it for this video, guys, as always. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and I will see you all next time for another video. Bye-bye.